What do you think are the biggest opportunities and challenges for mentoring befriending, and in particular your project over the next 12 months?
Well, I run a mentoring scheme for women in engineering, technology and science, and our biggest challenge is funding, I have to be honest. We don't have a problem finding mentors or mentees, but the actual scheme itself costs money to administrate. We're also looking at ways of how we can make that more cost effective as well.
Today has been a huge opportunity for me. I'm very new to the business of mentoring. I've recently left the services after 34 years. I was in the army, and I've just joined SAFA, Soldiers, Sailors, Airmen Families Association, Forces Help. I'm 3 weeks into the job, and actually seeing so many different elements of organisations that provide mentoring has been quite an eye-opener for me. It's been very useful today because I've been able to network with many people who are going through projects not dissimilar to mine, that I know that can help in some way, shape or form further on down the line. So, this particular package has been absolutely spot on.
I work for the South London and Maudsley Hospital. There are a lot of changes happening within the NHS, which means a lot of money constraints, budget constraints for each department. Luckily, we've managed to get funding for a 3-year Black and Minority Ethnic Volunteering Programme. And for me, that's eased off a lot of pressure for looking for other funding. But that places me, I suppose I have to be concerned about creating volunteer placements. As staff are being depleted from different departments, I have to justify how I can then suddenly be putting in volunteers to that department. And so it's marketing volunteering, making sure that the benefits are well understood by managers so that volunteers are accepted. There's a lot of unemployment out there, so there's a lot of demand for volunteering.
So the opportunities for us are that universities are going to have to think much harder now that they're charging big expensive fees for students about the outreach that they do, the work that they do with young people to encourage them to apply. So that's an opportunity for us to help them to do that and to do it better and to do it more cost effectively.
Okay, I think the biggest opportunities for befriending and mentoring are the awareness of the benefits of it. Now, amongst the public and amongst commissioners, there is a real awareness that it does make a difference and it can be a very cost-effective way of making that difference. So as budgets are getting cut, there is a potential to show that we can offer a good solution for service providers. The biggest challenge is funding.
Well, the biggest opportunity is the fact that we have got a really good project. We've achieved some fantastic outcomes over the past year. The biggest challenge is whether we'll get funding to carry on the good work that we've already done, because we don't know after March 2012 what the future holds because of all the cuts.
I think the biggest challenge in this environment is going to be funding, and I think in order to get funding we've got to be very good at making people know that what we do is very, very valuable, and we've got to be able to demonstrate that mentoring and befriending both have a really positive impact on people's lives, both the volunteers and mentors and the people that they are supporting.
We have a befriending scheme, a national one, for older isolated elders. Our challenge is matching our two sides, our funding stream and our referrals. Because local age concerns in Age UK is experiencing a lot of cuts, and we have issues with processing older people through the service, and we receive funding for corporates who also have demands on their time, and meeting those demands and training our volunteers.
Okay, so the biggest opportunities, I guess, are that mentoring works and people know it works. I guess it's getting that message out there. It's also that because so many services are being withdrawn, they are looking for more people to be volunteers and mentor in that way. I think the biggest challenge then related to that is that you can't have mentoring without support, and those support, that organisation that gets people together, it does need funding. So in the sense that some funding withdrawal gives it an opportunity, too much funding withdrawal means that there won't be any mentoring.
The biggest challenge will be to look at getting people in and trained properly, and then getting the resources behind that for them to be able to do the job properly. The biggest opportunity, you said as well, biggest opportunity is the fact that I think we're fishing from an ever larger pool. I think people are looking at mentoring and befriending as a way to getting in to help themselves, get themselves back into employment themselves, but also organisation like myself, I work for the probation service, to be able to use mentoring in a positive way to help change people's lives. So I'm very much looking at it from two ways: to help the people coming in who are mentors, and to help the people who are the mentees, i.e. some of the guys and girls on probation, to be able to help them not to desist from reoffending and move into a positive life themselves.
The biggest challenges are to sustain the programmes, to keep mentors coming through the doors, to make sure that we've got enough mentors to cover all the young people that need some support, really. So it's kind of just keeping everything going in the time of economic downturn.
I think the biggest opportunities would be to work more collaboratively, so work with similar like-minded organisations, so that we work with more vulnerable people, more of the client base that we focus our services to. So yes, more collaborative work.
That's a very interesting question. I'm from the Backup Trust, and I think some of the great opportunities that we have in mentoring sort of evolve around supporting volunteers to volunteer. I think that's a really kind of big and upcoming section of mentoring, part of mentoring. And other opportunities, which is sort of quite undiscovered territory, I think, in lots of voluntary organisations, is mentoring to support people getting into employment, and people with a wide range of disability, and that's also something I'm quite interested in. In terms of challenges, I think that the challenge for a lot of mentoring organisations is demonstrating and illustrating the outcomes of mentoring, because there's lots of different ways, conflicting ways that different people present the outcomes and achievements, and I think that we're sort of trying our best to find new and innovative ways to present that and celebrate our achievements, basically.
I think to make sure that mentoring and befriending is a real part of getting people back to work, getting more new businesses off the ground in terms of helping business to be more successful and using mentors. So I think there are opportunities. It's very difficult out there, but we need more mentors in all spheres, especially around work, in terms of helping disabled people, unemployed people, black and Asian communities. So yeah, I think there are real opportunities out there, but we've got to be very focused and make sure we've got high quality applications to get that resource to deliver those services.
Okay, I think some of the biggest challenges for mentoring at the moment is the fact that family life for young people is getting so complicated, with a lot of divorce and a lot of step families. So I think that that's getting harder to support because things are getting very fractured. I also think the opportunities, though, are the fact that because of the new big society push, that I think volunteering is getting more widespread, and that opportunities for mentoring in my school from volunteers in the community has actually risen in the last year, and I've taken on 4 or 5 more than I would normally.
Well, the biggest opportunities I feel would be to get more young people involved, especially into the peer mentoring. That would also help them for their careers if they wished. I'd like to see nationwide some publicity for it, mentoring in particular for young people.
Right, well I think there's lots of opportunities for mentoring and befriending. I think one of the big opportunities is in supporting the prevention agenda, using befriending to help adults who are isolated, people with disabilities and carers. There is a need really to look at how befriending can really support those groups of people, and working with local authorities, collaborating with projects to actually provide those services. There's also opportunities around supporting people back into employment. There's lots of youth unemployment at the moment.
In general, for mentoring and befriending, the biggest opportunity and challenge is finding ways to engage the for-profit community better. Because of cuts in public funding, there's going to have to be a lot more engagement within the for-profit sector, not only with funding, but also with using people in the businesses more and their skills effectively.